Hello everybody! Today on Refashioning with Rachel, I'm going to show you how you can turn a throw blanket into a poncho slash hoodie. For reference, the throw blanket I'm using is 50 inches by 60 inches. And it has all of this lovely fringe that I'm going to incorporate in my design. Fold your blanket in half, hamburger style, twice, with right sides together, so that all of the corners are together and you have a double fold on top and a single fold on the side. Grab your favorite hoodie, tuck away the hood and fold it in half, and lay it on top of your blanket, lining up the back fold with the single fold of the blanket. And line up the sleeves with the double fold. Then trace around your hoodie, adding 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Measure half of the neck opening of your hoodie and transfer that measurement onto your blanket. Measure 1 inch down and connect those two measurements with a curved line and cut it out. Okay, so full disclosure, I made the neck hole way too big. I end up correcting it later in the video, but don't do what I did and measure your neck hole opening about 3 to 4 inches away from the fold, and 1 inch down, and connect with a curved line. And then cut along all of those lines. Measure down 3 inches from the neck hole in the center front, and cut the neck hole opening a little bit deeper on one layer of fabric. And you can see how my neck hole is way too big right now, so don't do what I did. Pin the side seams and underarm seams. And sew. Finish your raw edges with a serger, or as I am doing here, with a zigzag stitch. I'm going to keep the fringe on the hem of my sleeves and my skirt, but if you don't have nice edges on your blanket, you can hem the sleeves and the bottom of the dress at this point. Now I'm going to fix this neck hole. Find the center back and fold the entire garment in half to expose the center back. I made a mark 1.5 inches from the fold and then drew a straight line, gradually tapering it into the fold, and then sewed it down. And that's one quick and easy way to shrink a neck hole. Now let's make a hood with the leftover fabric. Grab 2 layers, Fold the hood part of your favorite hoodie in half and place it on top of your fabric. I want the opening of my hoodie to have the fringe on it, so I'm lining up the opening of my hoodie with the fringe on the blanket. Then trace around your hood, adding 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Fold up the body of your hoodie to expose the seam and trace around it, adding 1/2 inch. If you didn't want fringe on the opening of your hoodie, be sure to trace around it, adding 1/2 inch for seam allowance so you can hem it later. Then cut out your hood. Pin around the top of your hood and sew. If you're enjoying this video so far, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow. After you've sewn your hood together, serge or zigzag the raw edges. Here I'm pinning down that pleat that I made in the back of my neck hole. But you're not going to worry about that because you're not going to cut your neck hole as big as I did. Pin the center of your hood to the center back of your neck hole. And then keep pinning the hood onto the neck hole, working down one side and then the other side. You should have a few inches of gap where the bottom of the hood opening meet. If there is no gap here, cut the neck hole a little bit deeper in the front, and then sew the hood to the neck hole. And then zigzag those raw edges. If your blanket has a big open weave, like mine does, you might need to trim off a few straggly little threads after you zigzag. Now fold the seam allowance away from the hood and toward the body of the hoodie, and sew it down about 1/4 inch away from your seam line. And fold back the opening of the neck hole so you can continue the stitch and hem that part. Just line up the stitching line with the side of your presser foot as you sew. As I was sewing over that pleat I made in the back, I broke a needle. So if you are sewing over any bulky or tricky parts, I recommend just using your hand wheel, at least until you get over the hump, and then you can return to the foot pedal. Now iron this part of the garment so it lies nicely. Although I found this fabric incredibly tricky to iron. I just could not get the wrinkles out, but that's okay. It'll just be part of the charm of the garment. Now lay some paper over your hoodie and trace out the front pocket. Fold it in half before you cut it so you can be sure that it is symmetrical. Cut that shape out of some leftover fabric, adding 1/2 inch for seam allowance. And zigzag around the whole thing. Make sure the needle is on the fabric when you pivot. Fold in and iron 1/2 inch on the curves. And sew. Fold back and iron down the remaining sides of this pocket. And place it on top of your hoodie, making sure it is centered and in your desired location. Pin the pocket to the top layer of your hoodie. And sew. Then, after your pocket is attached, this project is finished. But I still had a good amount of scraps left over, so I cut them into the biggest rectangles possible and hemmed the raw edges by folding them over twice and securing with a stitch. And now I have a set of matching tea towels. But back to the main project. Here's a reminder of how it looked before. And here's how it looks now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you did. And have a beautiful day.